This is the Nebraska Broadcasters Association History Project. It's a series of video interviews with people who have impacted Nebraska broadcasting for decades. Today we're at the studios of KBRX in O'Neill, Nebraska, and I'm Neil Nelkin for the Nebraska Broadcasters Association. Nebraska broadcasting and rural radio in Nebraska in particular has been a long and proud history of family-owned and operated radio stations, mostly in the smaller towns across Nebraska, like Scotts Bluff, Beatrice, Ainsworth, and especially today, O'Neill, Nebraska. Most of these communities where radio was an important part of the business community, the owner-operator also was integrated into the fabric of the local community. Serving on small-town boards, organizations, being involved in youth sports, community development. That's the case here in O'Neill, Nebraska. Our subject today is Gil Poese. He truly personifies what it means to be a lifelong local radio broadcaster, and he truly personifies the phrase local community involvement. His son Scott is now the driver of the radio station KBRX, but that doesn't mean that Gil has stepped away from his responsibilities to the radio stations and to the communities. Here in O'Neill, Nebraska, we wish to welcome both Gil Poese and his son Scott Poese. Good to have you both with us.
Thank you very much, Neil. It's good to be here.
Let's start at the beginning. Gil, where did you start out and how did you get into radio?
Well, in 1946, I got out of the Army for the first time. And then after a year of not working, I decided to go to work in 47. And a good friend of mine had a construction crew on the Missouri River. And this was in the summer, and I took a job with him. And this was very nice because the weather was very good until we started into the fall season. And being cold-natured, I thought, boy, I can't keep this up very long. One night I got home and looked at the local newspaper, and then there was the lines was, "You too can become a radio announcer." I thought, that sounds like a good idea. So I called the Pathfinder School of Radio in Kansas City, talked to the gentleman there, and I went to the school, and went to the school there for 6 months. The school was taught by men who were on the air and the ladies on the air in Kansas City. So it was a very good school and a very good learning center.
So you came out of the school and went right to work, became a radio star.
Well, not exactly. I went to work at LaPorte, Indiana for Bill Whitlock, who also owned a radio station here in Nebraska. And Bill was a very good friend of mine. Got there on the weekend and we toured the town at a beautiful site, a lot of lakes around LaPorte. And finally Monday morning, they hired me as a copywriter. Finally, Monday morning came, and I sat down to write some copy. And I sat over this copy for about half of the morning. And finally, when I thought I was through with it, I took it in to have Bill look at it. And he looked at it and he said, "Boy, Gil, you'll never make a copywriter. What else can you do?" I decided if I had to, I'd dig ditches to be in radio. I wanted to be in radio. Well, I'd learned over the past weekend that I was there that they wanted to paint the station. We were in the basement of a hotel, very dingy and not very colorful. So I decided, hey, I'm a painter. So they let me take the job, and I took the job as a painter. And over the few weeks that I was a painter, I heard that the bookkeeper was going to quit. And I said, I can keep books. So I got a job as a bookkeeper, and after about a year and a half, they finally gave me a half hour on the air of my own. And that was the greatest thrill in my life, to be able to have a record show, and it was all my own. And I always am very thankful for Bill Whitlock for not giving up on me.
This is the same Bill Whitlock that went on to found KUVR in Holdridge.
Yes, right.
And the stations in Sterling, Nebraska.
And he also owned O'Neill.
O'Neill, Nebraska.
Yes.
Scott, what do you know about these days? What stories have you heard that you can repeat?
Well, working for your dad's never an easy job, but you learn from the best, and he was always great to call you and let you know, hey, you screwed this up, or let's do this a little better. But I said, being under a tight rein was probably one of the best things. And for anybody that's worked for my dad over the years, knows that he was pretty stern, but you didn't forget it, and you did the best you could every time you were on the radio.
Did you get that type of training from your 2 stints in the military?
I think I did. Yes, somewhere along the way there. Yes.
So you were in World War II and Korea.
Yes. But I always believed, that you ought to do the best for the people that you're serving. And I always wanted the people to feel like they owned the radio station and I worked for them. And this was what I wanted to get. When I came here to O'Neill, that phone didn't ring once a day. And I said to the people, our staff, which was 1, whatever we get a call for any information, if we have to place a long-distance call, find out what they want to know and call them back. And that's how we grew, and people started calling us for information finally. And our phones started ringing.
You built Ranchland Broadcasting and KBRX.
Right.
What year was that?
Well, it started in 1959 when I came from Holdridge to O'Neill. I worked at Holdridge for Bill Whitlock, and they sold me the station for nothing down if I would pay the bills. Well, they had a bunch of bills, but I told the people that we owed that I would pay them, even if it was only $1 a month, I would pay them until they were paid off. And we paid off all the bills, and then Bill Whitlock let me buy the station for nothing down for $30,000.
You also owned additional radio stations in addition to the one in O'Neill.
And later. This came later, yes. We had, we started one at Ainsworth. We had one at Lemon, South Dakota. We had one down in Kansas. But it got to be so hard to find the managers that were interested in them that we just finally gave it up and stuck with O'Neill.
And you've been successful in O'Neill.
Yes, right.
Let us talk a little bit about your vision for the radio station when you came to O'Neill, out-of-towner, coming to a small town, north central Nebraska. What kind of a vision did you have? What did you hope to accomplish?
Well, I hope to accomplish, like I said, I hope that the people would feel that they owned the station and that I worked for them, and whatever they wanted, we would program. And that has always been our belief, and I think maybe my son Scott even believes that too, I believe he does anyway. So, but, and just to serve the area and get bigger in the business with more power to cover more area.
Scott, I know the radio station runs off of the local economy, and the local economy runs off of agriculture. Lots of ups and downs over the years. What have you two seen locally here over the years that has been part of your experience at KBRX?
Well, yeah, the agriculture, we obviously rely on the agricultural economy to do good, but we do work with our advertisers to try to, we don't have outlandish rates, I don't think. We try to make it easy for them so that they can continue to get business. But we just keep providing what they want to know, the markets. We keep providing the weather. Even though it's available on your phone now, people still tune to the radio to hear what the latest markets are, what the forecast is, or what ball game is on, and we just keep plugging along. We've had great months. We really can't say we've done bad here at KBRX, but thanks to our businesses that work with us, we continue to do what we like to do.
I think Scott has a harder time making a go here with a radio station than I ever did.
Why is that?
I don't know. People are changing their advertising methods, and I wouldn't be used to that because I don't even know a thing about a computer. When computers came out, I said, I'm not even going to touch them. And I just don't touch them at all. But Scott does all of those,
When you first started out here in O'Neill, did you ever have any doubts that this isn't going to work or I'm not going to be able to make this happen?
No, never had any doubts at all about that.
From day one?
Right.
What has this radio station over the years meant to the community? And I know we're talking today, you've just received another in a long list of honors. Scott, what was the award today?
Today he was crowned the King of Hearts out at the Evergreen Assisted Living. So,
we might mention
yes.
We're recording this on Valentine's Day, which is why Gil is King of Hearts.
We're not letting him wear his crown while he's his king's hat while he's on the air here.
Mercifully.
But, I think what my dad has done over the years is, even during the Vietnam War, whenever there was a a soldier that was from here, whenever their funeral was, they broadcast the funerals live on the radio, just to let people know that there was a war going on. We've done it also for, we've aired funerals over the radio station for like coaches that, we had a coach that, and the crowd was just going to be too big at the church, so we've aired those over the radio so people that weren't able to get into the church could listen to them there. We broadcast parades. We used to go out to the nursing home and interview the people at the birthday parties and, all that type of thing. So we really try to do as much locally and make ourselves unique. You can go get music anywhere, but you can't get interviewing somebody at the nursing home on.
No, you certainly can't.
Yeah.
And with larger markets where you're so dependent upon ratings, you don't dare break format for the things that are really important, like the things you talk about here, Scott. Not having those types of obligations to Arbitron, but more obligations to your community. Not only is it important, but it's fun.
Yes, it is very much. So much.
You've had a good time over these years, haven't you?
Yes, I have. You bet. Yes, but I'm glad to turn it over to my son. I'm very glad about that.
You still do Monday news?
Just Monday, yes.
Just Monday. And is this a regional news, a national news?
Everything.
Everything.
Weather, national and local, and everything.
Do you think you're maybe the oldest, or shall I say most senior broadcaster still on the air regularly in Nebraska?
I probably am, right. I don't know for how long, but I thank my good Lord and Savior for Jesus Christ for His leading me these years. You bet.
Radio has changed a lot, and a lot of what you folks do here in O'Neill is becoming rarer and rarer. The trading shows, the market coverage, and some of the programming, Scott, that you mentioned, the funerals, the nursing home. Is that still important here in O'Neill?
I believe it is. Now if you want to listen to your favorite artist, you can punch it in on your phone and you can listen to it anytime you want. I don't think people, we're trying to give them what you can't get via the internet or via computer. We're trying to give them, your funeral notices, your lost dogs. Doesn't matter. I mean, birthdays. We get a lot of birthday requests, and our birthday club's always full. On our website, our funeral page is our most visited page because everybody checks back home to see if any of their friends have passed away or anything like that, especially during the winter months when everybody's gone south. They kind of keep an eye on things. But, we just try to deliver a product that I guess you can't get anywhere else but right here in O'Neill, Nebraska.
It also helps that you are somewhat isolated from the big city signals that really don't get in here.
Right, you bet. And I thank our wonderful people who listen to us and depend on us. So.
Over the years, I'll ask this to either or both of you. Over the years, I'm sure there have been some interesting experience, maybe some funny events, or some of the things that are most dramatic that you remember about your years here at KBRX?
Scott?
Well, obviously, I do the Party Line show, which is a call, and where you can call, sell stuff or buy stuff, and usually there's some interesting things that might appear on the Party Line show every now and then. I mean, we've had everything from a prosthesis to, somebody had a leg that they didn't need anymore, and somebody needed it, But I mean, we sell everything from cows to dogs to chickens to eggs on there, and it's still going. And it's, I think, one of the longest radio shows in the state of Nebraska, the Party Line show is. That's been going since '56, right?
Right, yes.
Yeah.
And I remember one time when we were having bad weather and an airplane was coming in, and there was no signal, of course, and the guy called me at home, said, "Gil, go turn on your transmitter so I can come in and on land." So I came out to the station, turned on the AM transmitter so he could hone in on that and land his plane.
You're a lifesaver.
Yes.
During those years, there used to be a lot of traveling bands, traveling musicians, people coming through at county fairs. What about celebrities that may have been visiting KBRX over the years?
Well, I wasn't here, but before I got here, Johnny Cash came through one afternoon and visited with the guys at the station. They were telling me about it. It was very exciting about it because not too many people have seen Johnny Cash.
Yeah, and we don't get a whole, I mean, obviously we're not on the traveled route for a lot of those stars, but well, like Larry the Cable Guy, he called in the party line one day when he was doing one of his shows up in Monowai, and called in with some stuff for sale, and then to promote that he was going to be up there. But yeah, we don't get people knocking on our doors. We don't have Billy Joel hitchhiking to KBRX to debut his album. Or
Well, he might not know what he's missing, that's for sure. Scott, that's more for you. You're growing up in a community where your dad is literally a local legend. Everybody knows him. He's won practically every award he can win. He's served on, school boards and other organizations. What's it like growing up in the shadow of somebody like Gil?
Well, I definitely, hopefully learned a lot from him. I've been on the Chamber of Commerce board, I think the longest than anybody in the state. I've been on there since I was 21, and I'm 54 now. So do the math. I've been the president a couple of times. The Chamber, I've been on the Lions Club and some of those other organizations throughout the years too. And I think you just realize that the community we live in is something we need to help make better. And from watching what my dad did through the years, I learned that your community's not going to get better unless you input into it. And if you don't put something into the bank, you can't take anything out of the bank. And I think what I've learned from my dad is we need to be in front of everybody. People need to see us. People need to be able to contact us. And people need to be able to use us if they need us to get their message out.
Gil, how's it feel to you to have your son in the family business doing as well as he's doing and as well as the radio station's doing?
I'm very relieved from that, yes. You bet. And I'm glad happy that he took over.
And how long are you going to stay in the business?
Well, till I'm called home.
Sure. With the city of O'Neill and the importance of the two of you to this community, what are the most important things in this community that you're involved with? Community needs, as we usually say, and ways that you can address some of those needs.
Well, I think being involved in the Chamber of Commerce, not only here in O'Neill, but we're also members of all the Chamber of Commerces in our area. And I think just making sure that we know what's going on, keeping our listeners informed of what's going on in the communities, because our area communities rely on us too to get their message across and to help make their businesses grow and help make their communities grow. But again, I think just the fact that we're there. I mean, I'll get a call at home even to, can you get this on the radio or on my cell phone, and we'll get it on just as quick as we can.
If that was me, I wouldn't have a cell phone.
I would imagine over the years, both of you have seen a lot of people in this town grow up and grow through the radio station. Yes. Usually we have a lot of part-time kids during school, and then they go on to be successful in other arenas.
Yes, we have. We've had several of them that began their career here in O'Neill, and then they've gone on to bigger stations, and we're happy for them.
We've had like Doug Larson that was at WW News for quite a while. Terry Kurtz was a news reporter for CNN. He's still doing videography out in California. Well, none other than, name's in the
That happens to all of us.
Roland Johnson.
Roland Johnson?
Roland Johnson got his start for Dad.
Really?
Oh, yes, right.
Roland Johnson started here in O'Neill, graduated from O'Neill High. And
tell you some horrible tales about me.
And Larry Rice.
And Larry Rice, yes. Right.
He started with you in O'Neill?
Missouri.
In Missouri?
Yes.
Okay. And you and Larry Rice kind of built the radio station in Ainsworth.
Yes.
And you owned that as well.
Right.
And then you also have been with those other radio stations. But Ainsworth and O'Neill have been the main stations.
That's
also, Gordon, Nebraska?
Yes, we had Gordon, Nebraska, right. We built that. Larry Rice and myself did that. Right.
And the two of you have been on the board of directors of the association many times.
Right.
And are both members of the Hall of Fame.
Right. Yes.
Scott, one thing you mentioned earlier that was you were pretty sure about is that there is no voice tracking at KBRX. That differs a lot from the rest of the business.
Yeah, we're live on the air from 5 a.m. till 6 p.m. daily, Monday through Friday. Saturday mornings we're live from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. Sundays we're live in the throughout the noon from the morning till the noon hour. But yeah, we try to keep a live announcer at the studios for most of the day. Obviously overnight, where we don't have big industry here that's working 24 hours a day, or listeners, it's more of a convenience just to have it available if folks like to fall asleep to it. But yeah, I know we don't voice track any of our daytime programming on KBRX.
And Marty Riemenschneider mentioned before we started the interview that KBRX may have been the first HD radio station in the state of Nebraska.
Yes.
You stayed ahead of technology all those years, didn't you?
Yes, we did. We had good engineers.
But the good engineers had a good boss. It had to be driven from above.
Right.
So what was so important to you about being technologically up to state of the art all the time?
Well, I figured the community deserved nothing but the best, in the radio, and that was the only way that we could serve them, was by updating all our equipment and keeping up to date with everything.
So that's what KBRX AM and FM
Right.
are all about. They've named a city recreational area after you.
Yeah, I used to be the top dog, and now I'm the top fish.
What was that about, naming it after you?
Well, they just wanted to name something, and the fishing pond down there came open, was open, and there was no name for it, so the mayor recommended that they name it the Gil Poese Recreation Area.
It's one of a very long line of honors, recognitions
Yes.
over the years that you've seen. What does that all mean to you?
Well, it means that I think the people appreciated what we've done, and that is worth a lot.
The community obviously recognizes the value of the radio stations and the people at the radio station leading
Yes.
with the two of you.
Right.
What's down the road now for KBRX? The industry's changing, the technology is changing. Are you being left behind?
I don't think so. I think we're trying to keep up. Obviously, there's many different ways now to listen and to communicate with KBRX than just turning on your radio at your kitchen table or wherever. But we do have our translator that's going to be going in here shortly for our AM, so we'll at least be able to have that on a little better at night for the folks to listen to our AM station. And of course, we're streaming on the internet as well. And I think just different ways we can keep in touch with people, but we still want to give them what they can't get. And that's the biggest thing we hear when people maybe retire to a bigger city, is like, we don't really know what's going on in town or if there's anything that's happening, because we don't get a community calendar every day at 8:15 in the morning or at 12, during the noon news. We don't get that listed, and I think people, when they move away, realize we do have something just a little bit different here that you can't get anywhere else.
Scott, one thing we talked about a little earlier was market reports. They're available everywhere instantaneously, but people still depend on local radio for local markets.
Yeah, people still drive around in their pickups, so as long as they're doing that, they'll have the radio on, and they don't always have time to get out their phone and dig through everything, but if they know at 2:45 in the afternoon they can get the closing market report, they'll have their radio on and catch it there.
Gil, how important was those markets to you and to the success of the radio station?
Very important. Very.
Because it mattered to the people.
Yes, you bet.
When you get feedback in town, what is the number one or two comment people give you about your years in O'Neill at KBRX? What do people tell you?
Well, they just like what we program, how we program the station, and they always said, we can understand whenever you talk.
And you still have the pipes.
Yes, right. Thank goodness.
We toured the radio station earlier today. I noticed that you have literally thousands upon thousands of 45 RPM and LP records. But I didn't notice any turntables.
Yeah, we have one in the production room, I think, but I don't even know if it works anymore. But we do have a way to get all of our recordings. If somebody does need a 45 or an album recorded, yeah, we can get them dubbed out. And we did just have a lady bring in a 45 yesterday that was her grandmother playing the piano on a record, and she wanted a copy. But yeah, we don't play them on the air anymore, but we still have them there. They're just tough to get rid of.
Don't ever part with them, and never part with them. Is there a message that you would like to deliver, Gil, after all you've seen, all you've done in terms of broadcasting to the broadcasters of today and the broadcasters of tomorrow, that you might enlighten some of those people?
Not too much, no, except I'm just so thankful that my son is taking over and I don't have to worry about anything. That's a great relief.
And Scott, is that a big responsibility to you?
He'll still call and say, hey, don't forget to do the problems programs list every 3 months. You know, he does still check in, so he's not, he hasn't given it up yet. I still get checked on.
And those are going online, so are you going to be able to check them from home?
No.
Very good. Our subject today has been Gil Poese, legendary Nebraska broadcaster here in O'Neill, Nebraska. Our thanks to son Scott, appreciate it very much, to KBRX Radio for their hospitality, and our appreciation for technical facilities to News Channel Nebraska.